Good morning. Welcome to Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Today we are talking to Tanya Sheldon. Hello, Tanya. How are you?
Hello. I'm so good. So good.
I am so excited to talk to you today.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm just so honored you asked, Louisa. Thanks for asking me.
Well, thank you for saying yes. So basically, I'm going to read your bio, tell the people about you, and then we're going to jump in and have a beautiful conversation.
Awesome.
Okay, Tanya Sheldon is a wife and mother of three girls. She has a background in retail management and marketing and has found her home with a Nutrigenomics company uh, that is pioneering new technology to change the way our cells age. She has achieved a rank that puts her in the top 1% of her company. She loves life and, more importantly, loves helping others unlock their true potential and step into the God given greatness that lies within them. I love that, Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me about yourself to start with.
Okay. Well, as we were talking about beforehand, Louisa now knows somebody from South Dakota.
Yes. That is awesome because I was literally talking to one of my nieces and I don't even know why we got on the subject of South Dakota. And I was like, do people live in South Dakota? And Tanya Sheldon is from South Dakota.
Yes. South Dakota representing. People even live in North Dakota, just so you guys know. Yeah. But yeah, born and raised in South Dakota. Great upbringing, athlete. Like we spent all of our summers playing softball. I was a softball pitcher. And then when it came time for college, I'm that girl that I always knew who I wanted to become, but I never knew what I wanted to do. And I got scholarships, to play sports in a university in our state. And that's where I went because that was the comfortable thing to do. And I've learned a lot about that comfortable part, as I've grown. But I went there, had a great time. College was really just about having a good time and playing sports for me. I got a degree in PE and health. I used it for a couple of years, and then it was on to really discovering who I wanted to become. But along the way, I met my husband when did I meet him? 1999. I met him. Seems like a lifetime ago. I was living in Minnesota at the time. I know. I was living in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the time when I met him. And after I met him, I moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado. And then we moved back to South Dakota. Then we were in Kansas City for a year. Then we moved back to Denver, Colorado. And now we're in Idaho. So now I live in Boise, Idaho, Meridian, Idaho, just outside of Boise. We have two daughters together, and then I have a stepdaughter who's 26, and she lives on the East Coast. And life just is really, really good right now. I'm very happy, and yeah, good place to be.
I love that. How long have you been in Idaho?
We've been here 8 years.
8 years. What do you like about it?
Well, I didn't want to come here in the beginning.
Right.
When we lived in Colorado, my husband had a layoff. It was 2011. And he got severance, which we were lucky for. But I remember the day he sent me an email and he goes, "What do you think about Idaho?" And my response was, "I don't like potatoes." Because all I knew about Idaho was it's a potato state. And I like potatoes. I love French fries. But I was like, who lives in Idaho? Just like you live in South Dakota. I was like, who lives in Idaho? Where is it? And why would I want to be there? And I remember he went out, checked it out. And then when I went out and checked it out, I was waiting for God to give me this feeling of like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I didn't get that. So when we moved here, we rented for 4 years because I just still didn't think we were supposed to stay. Yeah. And then finally it got to the point where every time we'd go away and we'd come back, it felt more like home. And now I can't imagine leaving. We get all the seasons here. Today it's already 81 degrees. It's going to be really hot today, but it's a beautiful state. Really kind people too.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. So you mentioned, which just gave me chills a little bit. You said, more importantly, you love helping others unlock their true potential and step into the God-given greatness that lies within them. Tell us, what do you mean by that?
Well, like I had said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew who I wanted to become. And I just knew that I always had this feeling like God's put something really big inside of me. Like I had this ability where I could really make an impact in people's lives. And I think my gift is I just love people. Like I remember I look back on our conversations, Lisa, and I'm like, how did we meet initially? And I remember Facebook showed me your profile. And when I clicked on it, I was like, wow. Like,
oh, thank you.
I want to know this woman because you just exuded so much joy. And I remember that's what I told you. I'm like, I want to know you. And I'm so glad that I do. And I'm always curious about people's stories because I feel like that's one of the greatest ways to learn and gain wisdom is just by engaging with other people. Everybody's got a story. And the more authentic we can be, the more we're going to change people's lives. So anyway, along the way, I just was always open to opportunity.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, this woman saw me like in I think Target, and she asked if I'd be her model to go to this event. And I know I was like, okay, like
yes, I can.
Yeah, no one ever asked me anything like that before. And I remember going into this meeting with her, and it was a Mary Kay event, and I had no clue. But the women and the energy in that room was like electric. Like it gives me goosebumps now. Like I still can feel it. It was filled with women, and they were like, there was laughter and happiness and all this joy, right? And I just wanted that. I'm like, this is who I want to be. I want to stand tall. I want to have this posture. I want to have this confidence. And that was my first taste of who I could really become. And then along the way, I'm working jobs, and I don't like working for other people. A lot of times I was that girl in the room or in the cube that was like, gosh, why don't these people want to be more? I give them ideas, and I'm like, why don't you want to use that to be better? Why don't you want to make more of an impact? Why are you okay with just the day-to-day? And some people are, and that's okay. I just am not built that way.
Yeah.
So, the current opportunity I'm in, I got involved in 2011, a week after my husband was laid off, full of fear. But I was at that point in my life where I'd been a stay-at-home mom for like 3 years. I didn't want to go back to work for anyone else. I wanted to be home with my kids, but I was ready to finally figure out what God had for me outside of being a wife and a mother. So I got into this opportunity, the Nutrigenomics company I'm in, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to do whatever it takes to unlock who I know that I really can become. And I feel like today I've been doing it for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
And I've unlocked so much confidence, and I speak to people in a way that's so much better than I used to. Like my light is brighter, but it's still, I think, only at half.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm only just getting started. I'm just peaking my real potential, and that's exciting.
I love that. I love that you said that your light is getting brighter, but you know that it could even be more brighter. Brighter? Yeah, more brighter. Yeah, that is awesome. So, like, why is that important to you?
To give other people hope, because I think a lot of people, especially today, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't shine, it's really easy I used to be this girl, right? Where I was a good connector. I could walk into that room of those Mary Kay women that were so confident, and I could connect women together, but to network with them, I didn't feel like that I had what it took to network with them. Like their energy and their light was so bright. I felt like I needed to dim mine to be effective. And now I don't feel that way anymore. Marianne Williamson has that poem about, don't do that. You don't dim your light to make other people feel comfortable. You give them more hope, and you inspire them more by like keeping yours turned up. That's how you inspire people. And that's what I'm finally getting used to, because I still have those moments, where I work hard to like put myself around people that are smarter than me, that work harder than me, because I want to grow. I want to be with those women, those men. But many times if I walk into that room right away, even still today, I'm like, oh boy, and you kind of, but you can't do that. You have to show that you are just as important as they are. Like just keep it up and be authentically who you want to be. And that's what I love helping people do. Like, I just love when you know, our industry with its network marketing, and people that are making the money are the ones in front of the room, because it shows that they've grown. It shows that they're doing the work. It shows that they're stepping outside their comfort zone. And when I see people do that and get in front of that room, I could cry. Like, it's the greatest thing, because, you know, they're so flippin' afraid, and they're so afraid of judgment and what people think, but they're doing it anyway, and they're doing it to better their life. That's it. Like, that's why we're here. We're not here for ourselves. We're here for other people. And Lisa, you exude that. Like, the joy, I mean, all of it. That's what you exude. Serving other people and spreading this light. And I don't know how anybody would ever say no to you, because your smile and just the energy you have. Like, don't ever lose that. You're so special.
Oh, thank you so much. I love the fact that even 8.5 years into this, you say sometimes you still feel when you enter the room of brightness that you're not bright enough. So how do you overcome that and walk into that room?
Through God.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really do. Because when we made the shift to finally stay in Idaho, that's when that's when God just really started working in our life. And we found our church home, we found a community. And I was just ready at that point in my life to really tap into my faith and grow that, most importantly. Like, I want that to be my center point. I want to be that my foundation where I go for wisdom and truth and how to grow. And it took dark, crappy, hard seasons to grow me in the best ways possible. Because when those are put in front of you, you can either crawl up in a corner and retreat and turn off your light and just complain about it and just lose all hope, or you can lean into God and just trust Him through all of it and just know that this is going to expand my capacity. This is going to grow me, and I'm going to come out better on the other side. And we're living in that season right now. You know, we can complain, we can read all the stuff on social media, we can go down those rabbit holes of opinions and disjustice and all the darkness, or we can choose to just continue to be that light and show people that not all is lost. Like, there is still hope. And there was a point, Louisa, it was so funny, not funny, but when COVID started, the week it unleashed, we had an earthquake here in Idaho.
Oh, wow.
I've never been in an earthquake. And I'll never forget, we're standing in our living room and my husband's like, what is going on? And I'm like, I was walking and I thought like I was just getting a little nauseous. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like our house is moving. It's shaking. And then we're like, COVID, earthquake. There's that song like, it's the end of the world. I felt like in that moment, it was so crazy. But again, it's just, you just got to have hope and you got to trust. Like, God's in control, not us. He is the ultimate controller.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, I think there's a little meme or saying that says, you think you are buried, but you're actually planted to grow. And so, and so during those tough times, it's the planting. You have to get in there and figure out your stuff so that you can grow and be better.
Yeah, it's so true. There, you know, in those moments too, I mean, I'm still doing this business, right? And I still have a team. I still have people I want to show up for. And as hard as it was to show up for them during all of this, I continued to do it. And then I learned to just share my story, share the authenticity with them of what I was going through in those moments. But because I kept showing up and I kept loving on people through it, it just made me that much more prepared when I came out of the other side of it. And I just felt better. I knew why I was doing what I was doing because I didn't stop showing up. Even when it sucks, you got to show up.
Even when it sucks, you've got to show up. And that is so true, especially in the times that we're in today. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's disheartening. Yes, it's frustrating and exhausting, but you still have to show up, because if you don't, then what? Then what happens?
Yeah. Then what happens? You lose it. It's so easy. Like, you have to have that daily discipline. You got to show up every day, right? Because we all know there's so many days we show up, we wake up, we're like, what day is it?
Right.
We're starting over. And you got to have those disciplines in place so that when you arrive, you show up being the best that you possibly can, no matter what, because you never know what God's going to bring in your path that day. We only have today. That's all we can control. So you got to show up every day, or you might miss this awesome blessing that he has prepared for you. That would suck too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another meme. I'm a big meme girl, but it's of two miners who are chipping away at the mine, and they, gone this long way. And one of the miners is literally right there. Like if he had hit that rock one more time, he would have all the diamonds in the world, but he didn't. He turned around and walked away. And so that speaks to you, to showing up, because you never know what the day has for you.
Never know. I use that one all the time. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. Because in our industry, it's hard. Like you deal with a lot of rejection. You go through a lot of rejection, but each rejection, each no, it gets you close to that diamond. And then it's just so much sweeter when you get the yeses. Yeah. We use that all the time. I know exactly what I mean.
So you talk a lot about story and telling your story and being authentic. What do you tell people who are afraid to do that? Who are, or both questions, who are afraid to share their story and who also don't think they have a story to tell?
Those are good questions. We all have a story to tell, right? It's funny too, because just the other day, my girlfriend was telling me, she goes, what is your power? What are your gifts? And I had to think about it. It wasn't on the tip of my tongue, and that's not okay. Like I should know that. That's what I should really be walking in. And I should know that without a doubt. And I shouldn't be afraid to share that those are my gifts. We all have gifts, and our gifts don't have to be world changing. You don't have to change the world with your gift, but your gift may be serving others. Your gift may be cooking. And so therefore people want to have food from you during times like this. Your gift may be shopping. Like going and getting the groceries for someone. We all have gifts, but we just discount them because we don't talk about them enough, because we're always comparing. And when you compare, that's when you're going to dim your light, and that's going to hold you back. And it's, it's just an enemy. You can't compare yourself. So we've all got a story. And I think it just takes a moment with other people to just being willing to listen to them. I think a lot of people don't know that they have a story to tell, and they're afraid to share it because no one's just ever sat and listened. So right? I think if we can just be that person to sit and just ask questions and just listen to them, it's going to come out naturally because no one's ever taken the time to listen to them. And then in that moment, it's like, yeah, right. And then in that moment, it's then empowering them to say, this is what I heard. This is what you just did for me. Now go share that with other people and watch what happens.
Literally, like chills. That is so powerful. Mm-hmm. They don't want to share because no one's ever listened. And we have to do both. We have to share our story and we have to listen to the stories that are being told to us. Because if we don't, then you have people who are like, well, no one cares anyway. So why is this important?
Yeah. That gave me good. Yeah, gives me chills.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that was a good one. Thank you. I needed that. And it's so true because I also believe that everyone has a gift and everyone is here for a purpose, and that we can change the world. I tell people all the time. People are like, "You're always talking about changing the world," and they think it's this big, huge task, but it's not. It's simply having that one interaction with someone, and that interaction could spiral into something else. Like you could have said something or done something to someone who then goes off and does something to someone else, like something good to someone else, and that spirals it. And that's how we change the world. But we have to have those conversations and we have to have those interactions, because if we don't, then we're just wasting the reason that we're put here in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know I don't want to have that conversation with God when I get to those pearly gates and be like him. I had this picture of him showing me all these boxes, all stuff that could have been, but I was just too naive or too stupid to unwrap them when he put them in front of me while I was here. I do not want that. I want to use it all. I want to know, that's the legacy, you know, we want to leave. Like people saying she gave it 110% every single day. Like she left it all out on the line. Like that's why we're here. I have this book, Chase the Lion. Chase the Lion. It's so good. And so many times in that book, he talks about like the compound effect from one person having that conversation and what happened, like the effect that had on that person, and then like starting a church, and then like just the compound domino effect that created from one conversation with someone in their life. And there's this saying we have too, like in our industry, when you combine plants together, you can create something really big that can do something big in the body. So It's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It ends up being 1 + 1 + 1 = 1,800 because of the compound effect of those the 1 + 1 + 1. And that's what you can do to somebody when you listen to. The 1 + 1 could equal 20,000. Because now if they take what you gave to them by listening to them and sharing their story, and then they go share it, and now they're reaching, 10 people, and then those 10 people go share, like that's how easy it becomes.
Yep. And it just keeps going from there. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you never know what kind of legacy you're leaving with someone, what kind of imprint you're having on someone. You could think that you're just having a conversation, or you're just holding the door open for someone, or you're just smiling in the moment. But in that moment, that's exactly what they needed. And that could change the course of their day. And so just those small acts can have huge results. But we, like you've been saying, is that we have to show up and do those acts.
Yeah, for sure. You've heard, there's those stories too of like, you're sitting next to somebody on the airport, which hopefully we get back to that, but you're sitting in the airport and they're the person that you hear their entire life story, right? Because they can tell that you mean it, like you're engaged. And then you get off the plane and they realize like, I don't know anything about that person, but you know everything about them. And they were just so filled with joy that they were able to just talk to somebody that would finally listen. And now you've changed the complete trajectory of their day because you just sat there and listened, even if you didn't share about yourself. And that's the thing, when we listen, we can't listen with the intent to respond. We just have to listen with the heart to just receive, and then give to them when the silence is there and they're ready to hear. But sometimes you don't even have to give back. Sometimes just listening is all they need.
Yeah.
All they need.
I love that, because I think that we live in a culture of waiting to reply instead of soaking in what people are saying. Yeah. And that's also why sometimes people don't want to share their stories, because they're not feeling heard, because all you're doing is waiting until it's my turn to say something. And not really listening. Exactly. And I believe that what you're saying is true and fact, that if we just listened and showed up for each other, that this would be a different world. But we have to make that conscious effort to do that every single day.
Yeah. And that comes with no judgment. You cannot judge. Like, those are some of the verses I've just been reading. Like, God judged no one, like no one. It is not our place to do any of that either. And when you show up for somebody and you just listen, I think we'd be surprised what we would really hear, right? It is so easy to paint a picture by what somebody's wearing. And then you sit down and you hear their story of where they came from. And that could be a story that completely, you not only change their life, but they completely change your life, because you didn't judge and you just listened.
Because you don't know what people are going through. So just because, someone has an outer appearance of whatever their outer appearance is, they could be, the richest person. I watched The Crown, and I just want to hug the queen, but I also want to shake her a little bit too. But she is the Queen of England, right? But she's also human. You don't know what people are going through. You have no idea what their life is like behind those closed doors. So yes, you might see someone who has it all put together outwardly, but inwardly they're a mess. Or you might see someone who isn't put together outwardly, but inwardly they are great.
Mm-hmm.
They are absolutely fantastic, right? And it goes to the part of not judging, because we don't know what people are going through. We have no idea what happened before the interaction that we're having right now. Have no idea. So offer grace, offer hope, offer your heart, because that's what we need right now, especially.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen.
I love it. So, yeah. So you have two girls. What kind of impact do you want to have on them and how they live their lives as they grew up?
Yeah, two girls. A lot of drama. A lot of drama. And they are night and day. They're complete opposites. Hi, Jen. Yeah, they're complete opposites. And what I want to leave with them, and I know I got a late start on it, and that kind of hurts my heart, but I just want them to know, first and foremost, that they are loved and whose they are, that they have a place with their Heavenly Father, that He's always there, that they are loved by Him, like for Him to be their refuge. But the sad thing is, being teenagers, that's not what they hear, right?
Yeah.
So what mom and dad try to teach them, it's drowned out within seconds through what they see on social media. And my daughter even came to us and said that a couple years ago. She's like, I know you tell us that, God is real and Jesus is real. And she's like, but how do you know for sure? She's like, because everything that I see and everything that I hear says He's not.
That is a big question. But the beautiful part is that she came to you and asked you that. Yeah. That's beautiful. So what'd you say?
First of all, I was like, get your dad. But what I shared with her was just, I went back to like what we've experienced here in Idaho. And when my husband went through this dark season and we were in and out of courtrooms a lot and just really heavy stuff, and how my faith, because my family quite often, I think my girls sometimes get mad at me for my optimism. They think I just always look on, the positive side, and I'm never negative, or I'm never sad, or I'm never upset. And I'm like, look, I just choose not to stay there. I have my moments, but I just don't want to stay there. And all I could do in that moment is I just chose to give her examples of how God had worked in our lives as a family and how He protected us through this crazy dark season. And when I know that He showed up doing things that only He could do in our lives. And that's what I offered to her. And I said, the rest is just going to come from you. Like, we pray with them every single night. We always pray with them. And even if she still doesn't fully yet believe yet as a teenager, I know that I'm doing my part by living my life, being happy, creating a life that I love to live, loving my husband, like leading by example through our marriage is huge. Letting them see an example of love. That's all I can do, is lead by example in a way that they see a woman that tries to exude joy as much as possible, and love life. And then hopefully they see Jesus through that. And that becomes that go-to when they're on their own and mom's not around.
Yeah. How old are they?
14 and 16.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
But like you just said, it's leading by example. It's showing that even during the hard times. So yes, optimism is, Jen has said, optimism is so powerful. That's true. But also showing them that during these hard times, you have a choice of how to live. You can wallow, or you can rise above. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be sad, because you can, and you need to own those feelings, but you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in the sadness. So you can either wallow or rise, and depending on, what you're feeling in that moment. And I love that you're showing the girls that you can rise even during the sad times, even during the hard times.
Mm-hmm. You know, even for us right now, I've learned a really big lesson. So just before COVID hit, we had our house on the market that we were living in. And I was going to share this later just through a live, but we had our house on the market. And then COVID hit, my husband gets laid off. And then the home that we were going to get, I was afraid I was rushing the whole thing. So I was like, God, if we're supposed to have that home, just please make it clear. Like, I don't be rushing any of this. So we find this home, and I walked in and I just felt goosebumps. Like, I was like, okay, like, this is it. This is where our family will thrive. We put in an offer, and my husband gets laid off, and I'm like, I'm not pulling that offer yet. Like, I still believe he could get rehired and we can get this house. Well, long story short, we didn't get it. And, you know, with COVID happening, I thought there's still a chance that it could still be ours. You could still find a job.
Right.
And we're in a rental right now because we had to pull our offer. So I walk by this house that I thought we could get every single day. I pray on it. And I was like, this could still be our house. And sure enough, one day I walked by and there was a pending sign.
Oh.
And yeah, and I just broke down and I was like, well, okay, well, it's not going to be ours now. And I realized in that moment, I was like, first of all, thank goodness I'm walking by myself because I'm over a house. But next I realized that, like, I am not in control. Like, I cannot control the pace at which my husband finds his next job. I cannot control this house being ours or not being ours. Like, God is the only one in control. And now that this home will not be ours, now I get to look ahead in anticipation of what may come later. And I think of that picture of the little girl holding the teddy bear saying, but God, I want it. And God's across from her and he's holding a bigger teddy bear behind his back.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I'm living in right now. Like, God is working in our lives in the craziest, most beautiful ways possible right now, in the midst of a pandemic, in a rental that's super small. Like, my girls' beds just fit in their bedrooms, but the way that it's brought us together and the way you learn what you do need, what you don't need, just the love that has come out of the midst of something that in the beginning seemed so horrible has been like the biggest blessing of our lives. It's just been amazing. So that pending sign, the pending sign doesn't always mean it's over, you guys. Like, the pending can mean pending of bigger things ahead.
Right.
That's exciting. You have to hold on to that and just trust and let go of the control. Surrender it. Make each day your best and surrender the rest to God.
I love that. The pending sign can mean something is bigger. Something is waiting for you that's bigger, but you have to let go of that vision in your head, because the vision in his head is way bigger than yours.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love your light. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, I love you too.
So many beautiful gems that you've dropped on us. And I just appreciate you and the way that you're living your life in the world, the way that you're, leading by example, because we need more people to show up and tell the stories. Once more people show up, then more people will show up. But we've got to keep moving forward. And I feel as though that you're doing that in your life, in your business, with your family, and in your faith. So thank you for being who you are.
Thank you. Thank you for being who you are. Thanks for sharing your story with me so that we could be here today together. You're awesome.
You're awesome. This has been another episode of Make a Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Today we talked to Tanya Sheldon, and she is absolutely amazing. Her main message is share your story. And not only share your story, but listen to other people's story as well, because you never know what people are going through, and you never know what kind of hope we can offer other people. So once again, thank you, Tanya. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day, and we will see you next week on another episode of Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume.
Bye, guys.